Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I want to walk you through two matches against a Fire Assassination Rogue and a Holy Paladin. I'm playing FMP. In the first match, we actually lose, and I want to kind of break down maybe why we lost or some slight playstyle differences that we could do heading into that second game. So let's jump into the first game here. We are on the Grand Arena, my favorite map. I love this map. It's just so balanced. Anyway, let's start the clip here. I'm playing Frost. Feral True was playing Feral, and our Priest is playing Disc. Feral True playing Feral, I guess that's pretty obvious there. We're running in, and I'm trying to find the mage out of stealth. And the reason I'm running in so offensively here, well, I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't run in this offensive. However, the enemy team has been killing my Feral Druid, so I'm like, just go on to me, right? Any time I can get them onto me, I would love it. Looks like they're opening up onto my Priest, and on my Priest, it looks like he's going to have to paints up the opener or use some defensives here in the opener to actually survive. I'm not sure if he did paints up there or not. But generally this opener, we're peeling the Rogue, right? Rakestone on the Rogue. He does Trinket. I throw a counterspell onto the Mage. Mage might have shooted my counterspell, or the counterspell already expired. And we're kind of just trying to peel. Paladin does use a sack on his Rogue right away, which is incredible. We already got one sack out of the way. Remember, Pallies have 2 sacks, or if they're not playing melee wings, they have 2 sacks there. And he still has his Trinket available, still has Bubble available, a lot of defensive cooldowns for the enemy team, so this game is just getting started. And essentially, if my Priest can survive, just continue to run, then we have a big lead here, right? If they're just opening up onto my Priest, we have a huge lead. But we need to eventually get CC and continue pressure on the Rogue. Now, the target choice of going Rogue might be actually, let me just pause this right here. Target choice of going Rogue might be a bit of a surprise to you guys. We were trying Mage, and the Mage targeting choice just wasn't really working out for us. So we decided to go for Rogue since they were training my Feral True in most games. However, in this opener, they're going on our Priest, but we still decided to go Rogue. But just to rewind here, guys, this is what Mages are good at. Okay, if you guys don't play a lot of Arena, or you're just getting started on your Mage, this is why you bring a Mage to the team. You poly the healer, you press Comet Storm, you press Ice Nova, and the enemy team health bar melts, right? 82%, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, boom. It was 23% right before I paused there, and the Trinket sack is forced out of the Paladin just like that. What are you trying to do as a Mage? You're trying to CC, and you're trying to burst. You CC the healer, you burst the DPS, you get defensives, you wait 30 seconds, you re-CC the healer, you burst again. The burst is Comet Storm and Ice Nova. You throw an Orb in there, you throw some Ice Lances in there, throw some Icicles and a Flurry in there, boom, you force the defensive cooldowns. That's what you're aiming to do, guys. Right, exactly right there is what you're aiming to do. Now we go ahead and sheep the Mage again. We're playing some downtime, we're hanging out. That sacrifice is almost off. Sacrifice is off now. Now the pressure continues. Now the enemy team does decide to go on my Feral Druid now, and this is kind of what we're used to here. And my Feral Druid is forced to sit in bear form a lot, run a lot. We get that stun into that fear. My Priest is polymorph. I'm trying to get the full poly on the Pally. Does look like I landed a Cloak of Shadows and evasion coming out from Drink Your Milk on the Rogue here. Trying to get another resheep. The bubble comes out, and the Rogue is 2% life right there. Almost goes down, but barely survives. My Feral Druid also almost dying. The Rogue at 2%, my Feral at 2%, back and forth right there. Don't have poly DRs for another 5 seconds. So at this point in the game, guys, we really, I mean, my Druid's in a lot of trouble, but we really should win when I get another polymorph here on the Paladin. Paladin has no Trinket. Paladin has no sacks. Paladin has no bubble. The Rogue's at 62% life. If we can just sheep the Paladin, maybe cross-CC the Mage with a Fear or a Mind Control, and stun and kill the Rogue, or you don't even have to stun him, but really just get a lot of damage on that Rogue, I guess I don't have too much damage for another 20 seconds or so, but that would be the end of the game, right? On the other hand, defensively, my Feral, I think, is out of walls. He has no Trinket. My Priest has no paints up. My Priest still has that Trinket available, but he's almost out of defensives as well. So we could lose in like a setup, or we could also win in like a setup. So this game could kind of go either way at this point. So it really just determines how fast can we get this next CC chain and until all my damage comes up and actually kill this rogue. So I keep sheeping the mage, stalling in the downtime. I actually go for that poly there. I think I was like a little confused on why I didn't get that poly there, but it looks like that paladin was just out of line of sight. And I'm continuing, I spell steal that freedom, and I'm continuing to try to get this polymorph, but I don't have blink yet. I fake that step kick there, getting a spam polymorph to have that counter spell available for polymorph if I want to do that. But I'm polyed, Dragon's Breath, poly attempt comes out onto my priest, and my Feral Druid's in that full kidney shot. Looks like he survives. Once again, I'm dead zoning the paladin, waiting for him to come out, and now I have a blink available, trying to go for another sheep, but I do get counterspelled. So the enemy team's doing a great job with line of sighting. Even though I'm dead zoning Pally, he's still being able to peek in and get some heals. And that sheep attempt was shut down, and boom, they get the setup first, and they actually end up winning this game. So all in all, it was a good game. The final sheep attempt, if I were to get some help on that, make maybe mind control mage so he couldn't have counterspelled me, maybe a stun on the paladin with a bash so I could sheep off, then we just win the game with the kill there onto the rogue. Also, I could have done a better job of getting that polymorph in the first place. There was like one attempt where I blinked from this point to this point, and then Pally ran around here. If I was able to actually land that polymorph, the game might have been over as well if we had enough damage to actually finish the rogue. So there's a lot of things that could have happened there right at the end, but the start of that game was good. We got the trinket, we got the sack, we got the bubble, we got the sack, and rogue wins at 2% like multiple times. So this game was looking okay, but we just had to push it a little bit over the edge offensively right at the end, get that last CC if we want to come out ahead. All right, guys, in this game, we're also on the Grand Arena. I wish we could just play every game on this map, rather, and we are fighting the same exact team. And in this case, we're going for a similar strategy, right? My Druid needs to play defensive. He needs to sit bear form. He needs to pre-wall goes. We need to, not overlap defensive cooldowns. But at the same time, offensively, we need to get that CC on the Pally because we are on a clock as well. We need to push in on the Paladin. Get the polymorphs, into the repolymorphs, into the fear. We need to get that CC or it's just not going to happen, right? We're not going to actually be able to get that kill at any point. So it's a mixture of playing defensive, surviving their go, and then boom, getting our go, getting that polymorph, locking down the mage, and then kind of going from there. We get the full bash out onto the Pally, going for a polymorph most likely, but it looks like I'm not going to get it. I actually get counterspelled there on my polymorph attempt, and they have a great opener. So this time, it's pretty fortunate for them, unfortunate for us. Full blind on the priest, full sheep on the me. Trinket wall comes out for my Feral Druid. However, there was no sap or polymorph follow onto my priest, so I think that's actually pretty decent there. Unless they started with a sap. I didn't see if they started with a sap. And the Feral Druid's almost top back off now, but now my priest is on DR, I'm on DR. It's kind of our turn to push in, going for that full polymorph, and I do get it. Here's something you want to keep in mind, guys. When I'm casting this polymorph onto the paladin, right here, casting poly, I'm looking at Omnibar, I'm looking at interrupts, kicks. Mage has no counterspell. Rogue does have a kick, so I need to blink away. If Rogue notices I'm casting poly, he could just turn and kick me since he's right here. So that's why I blink, right? I blink to avoid the kick from the Rogue. The Mage has no kick. If Rogue step kicks me, then all of a sudden he has no step to get back to the Feral, and that's not the worst case scenario anyway. So boom, we get the full polymorph. This should force out Trinket Sack. There it is, Trinket Sack right away. And you don't want to put too much damage into the sack if you're not going to swap Pally, right? If you get the Trinket Sack, boom, done, stop. Wait until next go. CC, like we don't have to continue pressuring too much into the sack. That means I can hold my Common Storm, I can hold my Ice Nova until this next go. If we want to swap to Pally, then we can do that as well. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Going for polymorphs onto the Mage. He's going for polymorphs onto me. Kidney shot there onto the Feral Druid. And it was a kind of a poor opener, but this is definitely turning around. So we have the Fear onto the Pally, casting the Ring of Frost, so potentially it'll be Ring of Frost and the Fear, and a Sheep onto the Mage. The Ring of Frost does get interrupted. I can try to go for the Bash Sheep onto the Paladin, and there it is, Bash Sheep onto the Paladin. He has no Trinket. This could be his Bubble Sack to save the Rogue here, who is in evasion as well, but I have that Common Storm Ice Nova still that I saved from last go. I have the unused Trinket and the Pet Nova, so I have a ton of damage lined up here for the Rogue. So Paladin is pretty much going to have to bubble sack for him to save his Rogue right here. Mage can't really peel this instant cast damage. Let's see if it comes in. There's the Nova. Comet Nova potentially. He does use that Cloak of Shadows, going for a re-polymorph. Here's the Comet Nova, and Pally does have to bubble sack. So that's the bubble sack. That's the second sack of the game. He has no Trinket, no bubble. Mage Ice Blocks and Trinket, so we could also kill the Mage if we wanted to, turn onto him. But Rogue has no evasion. Rogue has no Cloak. The only thing he has defensively is that Trinket, which isn't going to save him. And looks like my priest still has trinket. He actually sat that first blind, so my priest has trinket in his back pocket if he needs. Not sure if we have pain suppression or not, and my feral druid is probably out of walls at this point. So still a pretty close game here. If we land one more CC chain onto the paladin, the rogue's gonna die, but we are in a similar situation where if they get a really good go, my feral druid can die as well with this next vendetta from the assassination rogue. So it's still pretty back and forth. At this point in time, Paladins in the bubbles, Saxon on the rogue, we're controlling the game. We're casting Frostbolts, we're building Icicles. They swap onto me, I don't mind it at all. I have 2 ice blocks, they haven't done a swap to me the entire game. I don't mind just blocking high life, preserving my life here. Now I do counterspell the Paladin here, which could have been a mistake. Counterspelling the Mage's Polymorph instead might have been better, because now I'm getting spam polymorphed. But we do get that counterspell into the pally, into the stun, into the fear, and then I'm going for a polymorph. Does get interrupted or locked out there. Tons of damage coming in. Really just need to land this polymorph on the paladin, and if we do, it'll probably be GG. I'm still attempting to get it stun now onto me. Kidney shot, trinket, step kick. So they stopped it with counterspell, step kick, kidney shot. They're just making sure that I don't get this polymorph. Very similar to last game, actually, that we lost. The only difference is in this game, if we really just focus on getting that CC, and here it is, guys. The bash comes out onto the paladin. And this is really what I was talking about in the last game when we lost. I need help getting the polymorphs with either bash, with mind control, with fear. If my team pushes in with me to help me get that CC, that's how we're going to win games. So right here, the enemy team is a little bit more vulnerable, right? So we can go for this polymorph attempt. Let's see if we can grab it. I do get counterspelled anyway, but now that counterspell's out of the way, the paladin's a little more stationary from that bash. If I can just land one more polymorph and just pretty much end out the game, then that'll pretty much be GG. Paladin does have trinket back up in like 5 seconds though, so we do want to keep an eye on that. I failed my blink right there. Bad Xar actually should have been able to blink sheep the Pally most likely there at the end of the game. Paladin has another sack, so we've actually rotated through 3 sacks at this point, and our kill window kind of just closed. So the Paladin, well, he has no more sacks still, so we still have another go without a sack, but now Paladin has his trinket back, Rogue has his trinket back, Mage has his trinket back, and all of a sudden this is a scary game. So we could have ended that game right there if I landed one of my polymorphs onto the Pally during that 30-second or so window where the Pally had no sacks, no bubble, no trinket. But now it's in a situation where it's kind of spun back in the other direction. Mage pops, combust, I just spam sheep the Mage. I spam sheep the Mage on there goes, he spam sheeps me on Argos, and it looks like it's going to be another wall for my Feral Druid. However, right here, guys, the Rogue trinkets and the Mage trinkets, that's great. And we get that stun out onto the Paladin. Not sure if we have a fear to follow the polymorph DR. It just came off. There's the full fear on the Paladin. And now we could also close this game out if we get maybe an interruption on this polymorph on the Mage, and then sheep the Pally, sheep his trinket, kill the Rogue. Let's see where this game heads. Boom, there's the full poly, there's the Ray of Frost. Mage actually faked my counterspell right there. Beautiful job by the Mage. But that's the Paladin's trinket as well. So now we're back in this situation where Pally no trinket, Pally no sacks, Rogue no trinket, Mage no trinket. This game is looking great. All right, once again, guys, we're 1 CC away from winning this game. Tons of big damage out onto the Rogue. 1 CC on the Pally. That's going to be GG, right? And we still have some trinkets. We have Feral Trinket back. We might have a wall back at this point. Don't know about pain suppression. But once again, now finally landing the polymorph onto the Paladin, right? Finally, we used double blink to get that, 2 blinks to get that. And we have the Orb, we have the Comet Storm, we have the Ice Nova, we have the Unused. Rogue should realistically die here if we can get back to him. There's the Pet Nova, there's the Orb, there's the Comet, there's the Ice Nova. Rogue does Trinket. Or not trinket. Rogue does cloak to immune some of that damage and steps to me to avoid that orb, with the full fear coming out into the Mage and to the Pally, and that finally spells defeat for the enemy team. The Rogue does fall. That was really close there at the end. I actually thought the Rogue was going to survive, and I mean, it really goes to show you how much this game is about getting that CC when it's actually needed, forcing all the defensives, and then getting that final CC chain to actually end out the game. Here's the damage breakdown. Frost Mage not doing too much damage. I talk about this a lot, but mages don't do a lot of damage, or Frost Mages don't do a lot of damage, but they do a lot of burst and a lot of control, as we talked about earlier in this video, whereas the Assassination Rogue and the Feral Druid are doing much more on the actual damage charts. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I've been playing a little bit of FMP. I think it's a pretty viable comp. I don't know if it's as crazy as RMD, but after these nerfs that come in actually today, we'll see how FMP fares in the metagame. Make sure to thumbs video down if you didn't like it. Talk to me in the comments about what you guys want to see in the upcoming videos. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.